Alright, so I got my nut drivers. Here's a set I got from Harbor Freight. I really like these because they just make things a lot easier. Anyway, looks like it's probably about this size. Comes right off. And here's our wiring. Okay, so standard wiring, a black and white. There's your ground screw. But what I'm most interested right now is this strain relief and if it will work. So we're gonna see right now if this guy is gonna work for us. Again, real frustrating. You go and you buy a thing like this, doesn't come with the strain relief, and so I like to keep these on hand in my electrical kit, and it just kind of screws down. Doesn't have to be too tight. Okay, and look, I've got it now with the screws facing this way. That's no good, so I'm just gonna loosen it a little bit and rotate it the other way. Okay, no problem. This guy is going to open up so you can fit the cord through. And again, I'm reusing my old cord. So you don't really need to buy the one with the cord. I mean, it'll save you a little time, but might as well reuse the old. If you're replacing an old one, you can use your old power cord, okay? No problem at all. Alright? Give yourself plenty of slack in here because you want to, it's going to be a little tricky to get the ground wire on the ground screw. It's not too convenient. Okay? So this is going to tighten down on the cord, and you want to have it lay in there flat when you do that. Not too tight, just enough to hold it so if it gets yanked under the sink, it's not going to pull your wire connections apart on the inside, okay? Alright, so I'm just going to use wire nuts. Okay, you might ask, well, which is the hot, the positive, and which is the neutral? Well, it's not easy to tell. Now you could trace it back to your cord, but this is an old cord. Newer cords, your negative would be the wider blade. This is an old cord and the blades are essentially the same. There's a slight difference, they're basically identical. This is the ground pin, okay? The round one. What the power is flowing here on these two. The reality is, with a little motor like this, you cannot go wrong, okay? It doesn't really matter which is which. It's going to operate just fine either way. So don't sweat that detail. Trust me, I've done it both ways and they always work fine, so don't worry about it. So all I'm going to use is get a wire nut. Here's some yellows. Will work fine. In fact, these came off the old disposer. There's nothing wrong with them. Perfectly good. So I'm just going to do. Now a lot of people, when they do a connection like this, they want to do it pre-wrap a little bit like that. The main thing is to get it on good and snug. And you'll know it's snug because you can, after you give it quite a few turns, it will not pull off. See that? I can't pull it off, not easily. So that's already tight enough. And over here, same thing. You do want to have, when you're using, you kind of want to have these the same length. The wire nut will work better if both pieces of wire are the same length. Okay, guys? Screw it on pretty tight. Test it, give it a yank. If you want, you can put a piece of electrical tape around here that will then lock it down even more. But with the strain relief here, I'm not too worried about that, so I'm not going to bother. Which only leaves the ground wire. That screws way down in there. So it's not so easy to get down there. If you've got really small hands or you're dexterous, you can probably fit this in. Again, when you screw these screws down, clockwise is tightening. So when you put a piece of wire on like that, you want to wrap it, curve it clockwise. So when it screws down, it'll stay on better. If you did it this way, it would tend to not stay. So in this case, rather than bore you with how I'm going to get this on, you'll just have to get her on there the best you can. I do want to talk about the drain a little more. The drain has a couple of pieces up here. Again, I'm going to pull this ring off because I want to show you the pieces. This piece is the spin, okay? This is going to go under the sink. This is also just a gasket that it goes under the sink right against the whatever sink you have. Then it comes with a rubber gasket. Guys, I'm not going to use the rubber gasket. This would be used typically above in the sink itself. I prefer to use plumber's putty, okay? You just get this out and you roll it like dough. Make yourself a nice rope about that long and put it around this lip. Then as this thing tightens down, the excess putty is going to squeeze out, and you're going to just remove that with a flathead screwdriver when it's tight. So I prefer time-tested plumber's putty for around this lip. Then underneath the sink, you're going to have the gasket. It's basically cardboard. And then you're going to have the tightening ring. And it's the tightening ring that's going to squeeze the putty out. Okay, so you're going to do this, and this is better if you got two people, because one person can be up above holding this tight, and another guy is down below screwing this on as tight as they can get it. Okay, once you've got this assembled, then it's just a matter of putting the ring, the special rubber gasket, then this, guess what? I put it on backwards, guys. Again, you put it on this way with the gap below, okay? It's really easy to make that mistake. Don't get confused like I just did. And then get this rubber guy on, which is a little tricky, but once you see how it goes and you look at both pieces, you're going to be all right. Not too far. Look, I did it wrong. I did it wrong, guys. Yep, that's the confusing thing about these whirlaways, is figuring out which way things go. But you can tell when you got it, you'll feel it, that it's on just right and there's a gap. And then again, now that's going to be hanging there underneath the sink, ready to go. So now all it is, and again, this doesn't weigh too much, so typically you can do it, but if you have a helping hand, it can be a little easier when you're working under the sink to have two people, one person kind of holding the disposal and the other person locking it into the ring on that tab. Well, you can see that I didn't quite get it on here, locking the tab. I think that's got it now. So you see, it's not falling down. So guys, that's it. This is the whirlaway. You can get these Really cheap if you hunt around. I use them in my apartment rentals, and they're gonna last pretty much as long as the incinerators, which have gone way up in price, the Badgers. Okay, it's only 1/3 of a horsepower, but for an apartment setting, that's more than enough. Even in my own house, I'd feel happy using this, no problem. So there it is. Any questions or tips? You may have some tips. I always struggle a little bit with these when I put them in, but over the years, I've settled on the whirlaway. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.